Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Al Snow.
Proper for the video, I guess. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
This is a Heel Heat review of the new WWE DVD, For All Mankind, The Life and Times of Mick Foley. My favorite.
Well, we're going to dig right into this. I thoroughly enjoyed this DVD. There were spots that we missed, which we'll talk about. They missed, which we'll talk about after. But honestly, this is one of the best DVDs I've seen in a long time. And really, we've reviewed a lot of the last ones that were really not that great. I think the last great one we saw was the CM Punk one, wasn't it?
That NWO one was pretty good.
Yeah.
The Attitude Era was terrible.
This one here...
made up for the Attitude Era.
Totally. This one here was, to me, as good as the Road Warriors DVD. I was telling you that when we were watching it.
Let's go right into it, and then we'll talk about overall at the end of this. Starts off talking about Mickey Foley's early career in Long Island, growing up. Something I didn't know, he was in school with the King of Queens, Kevin James.
Yeah, they were both on the same wrestling team.
And surprising, that's where he gets his Dude Love character from. And basically his father introduces him to some wrestlers that are wrestling locally, which one ends up being Dominic DeNucci.
Dominic takes him under his wing and starts for training.
Yep, and he decides to drive 3.5 hours every weekend, or as he said, 3 out of every 4 weekends, to go train in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I thought one of the funniest throwaway lines was, if I would have known anything about geography back then, I probably wouldn't be a wrestler.
It's true.
It's damn true.
The thing I did like about the DVD is we got some surprise commentary from some former stars that we were not expecting. First of all, we saw Shane Douglas appear on the screen, which was a good treat. I always like Shane Douglas when
Well, you know what I've noticed about the WWE on these, at least for the last about year, I would say since the Punk, no, actually since the Stone Cold one. They've been going back and they've been bringing in guys that aren't necessarily WWE guys. If you remember, Stone Cold showed a lot of Dutch Mantel before he came back as Coulter.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them have someone where we went, wow, they brought him in, like the NWO had Russo on it.
Yeah.
The Attitude Era, I think, had Russo and some others. But I agree, it's nice to see people that aren't necessarily WWF friendly guys that, are brought out every Legends appearance and everything, being the only ones on these DVDs.
Exactly. It's a nice change. Because sometimes you miss seeing some of these guys you grew up watching.
Yeah,
I know you're an ECW guy, so it was great for you to see Shane.
Oh yeah, I love Shane. Shane's awesome. And then you had it goes right into some of his early matches. Shows the infamous match, parts of it at least, and it's on the extras where he gets his jaw broken by Dynamite Kid.
Yeah, and he even said in there he didn't bitch about it. He wasn't talking shit about Dynamite or nothing like that.
No.
Foley's a man's man,
And then it kind of glosses over him going to AWA and World Class, and goes right into his first run in WCW, where he was basically a glorified jobber.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, is that Shane Douglas actually brings that about, because Shane was there as dynamic dudes with John Laryngitis, and he was talking to Mick on the phone about the deal he was getting, and, told Mick to pack his stuff up and see if he can get a job in Atlanta.
Which it leads him to leaving WCW for a little bit, doing some indie shows. I think he said it was his first tour of Japan was at that time, and then he went back to WCW as a main eventer in feuds with Sting and Vader.
Well, the match with Sting, I know that's one of your favorite matches.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
And it is an awesome match. You could put that. I'm not a giant Sting fan, but when you have the ultimate babyface against someone that's just pure evil, like the Cactus Jack character was, it made for a great match, and it's a timeless match.
Yeah. Now, the thing that disappointed me here, there were two things that they left out at this point, and I said we'd talk about this stuff as we came up to it. They left out the Lost in Cleveland part of the Vader story. I know it's horrible, and I know it's terrible, but
I loved it.
It's part of the story.
Yeah.
It's part of the show, because they talked about them, both him and Vader talked about them dropping the ball on their feud, and that's one of the ways they dropped the ball on that feud. Mm-hmm. And also, they failed to mention WCW lending him to ECW.
That too. Well, the whole Vader thing too is even like we were saying, Vader was even upset when they dropped a feud. It was all after the ear incident,
and they thought they were going to be huge.
And honestly, if you really would have looked at it, they were right. That would have been a huge gimmick, and that rivalry could have lived on for a long time.
It could have been one of the great rivalries in the history. Alas, it was a good rivalry, but I wouldn't say it's all-time great.
No, I liked it.
But then he decides to make a huge decision, and decides that he's not going to go any further. He's only going to go down in WCW. So he leaves WCW, goes into ECW, and even says it on there that he cuts the best promos of his life in ECW, which I believe so myself. I know you've seen some of them, not all of them.
I've seen a great deal of them.
And I think this is really where Mick Foley went from being a big character to being a main event star. And I was always a fan of him. I mean,
it also talks about during his time with ECW when he goes to Japan, towards the end of his ECW stint. And
it goes with the IWA Japan, with Terry Funk and doing the King of the Death match stuff, and how it was just insane, this stuff they were doing over there, which it was if you've seen any of it. But it helped his career. He said at this point he wanted to be someone that changed a company and brought asses in the seats, and he said they went from like 300 people coming to a show to 30,000 when they left.
Yeah.
And that's in IWA Japan, not ECW. I don't think ECW ever drew 30,000.
No.
But that brought along the part where Jim Ross convinces McMahon to bring him into WWF. And he comes in, they talk about, a lot of people have heard the story, so we're kind of glossing over them a little bit, of the different characters they came up with before he came, and how he pitched Mankind, and they just said, okay, that's better than what we have.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Mankind, to me, is my favorite incarnation of Mick Foley.
Do you like the original Mankind or
the original? I like the funny stuff, don't get me wrong, but the monster that beat the hell out of the Undertaker, because I was never an Undertaker fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect the guy.
So you like the Boiler Room Mick Foley,
the Boiler Room
Games Mick Foley.
The Boiler Room Brawl was probably one of Taker's best matches out of the WrestleMania. Because you don't count Taker's WrestleMania matches as
That's a
matches.
different level.
Yeah, he always steps it up. But as far as, was a SummerSlam match, and it happened in my hometown up in Ohio, so it's always had a special spot. Plus, Paul Bearer turned on the Taker, so no one was expecting that.
Plus you had the Mind Games match, which is one of the underrated classics in the history of wrestling.
Well, that made Shawn Michaels look like a badass.
For the first time.
Yeah, because this was before him going against the Taker, as the heel Shawn again. This is, pre that by, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
So this here really, the match that Shawn had with Kevin Nash a couple months beforehand really brought a lot out of Shawn, but this one here just opened the door and let you see that this guy is worthy of being your champion. So, and it made both of them look great. The thing they didn't mention on this is that Mick Foley called Sting up and told him that, I'm sorry, but I just wrestled a match that was better than our match.
I like the Sting match better, personally.
I don't know.
Personal opinion. We'll get into it because another one of my favorite matches happens later. But I'd say that is one of my 3 favorite Foley matches. The Sting match, and the other 2 happen later, so I won't get into them right now. And then they talk about how he was getting it over, but Vince finally said, your real story is better than the crap we've come up with you for.
Yeah, well, the whole deal with the whole interview with Jim Ross really
was amazing.
Oh, that brought out Dude Love. That brought out everything.
Yeah, and Vince called him. He said early in the morning one day, he said, "Partner, we're going to do Dude Love. You're going to be Dude Love from now on." And they showed all the stuff, all the little. The best part of DVDs like this and Blu-rays like this is going back and reliving it, and how awesome it was when Dude Love was interacting with Stone Cold Steve Austin when he first came out, and how the fans got right into the character and everything. And then from Dude, obviously you have one face of Foley, 2 faces of Foley. It goes into his feud with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which brings the original face of Foley, who at that point not been seen in WWE, and this is the second of my 3 favorite Foley matches. Or actually 4. This is my favorite Foley moment. Is they do the interview leading into the match with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and it's a Monday Night Raw match. No huge build up. It's a Falls Count Anywhere, and it's Dude Love's interviewing Mankind. And
I think you're thinking.
Well, I think you're thinking. I'm thinking. And basically, Dude Love says, I'm not the kind of guy for Falls Count Anywhere.
It's not my bag, baby.
Mankind says, I'd love to do it, but there's somebody that wants to do it even more. And it brings out Cactus Jack. And Cactus does his Cactus promo, gives him the bang bang, goes out. The crowd eats it up, and we have finally all 3 faces of Foley are in the WWE.
Exactly. You're right. This match here that they put on him and Hunter, it really made Hunter look like a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because before that, Hunter was wrestling a lot of gimmick matches. He was wrestling Duke to Dr. Drosy.
The hog head match.
Yeah. Phineas Godwin, Henry
stuff
Godwin.
with Johnny B. Bad.
Exactly. So this one here was, to me, I think Mick Foley or Mankind was Hunter's first real solid
Test.
Exactly.
Other than Test.
That comes later.
Okay. You know what came right after this?
What's that?
Mick Foley's most famous match.
What is this?
The Hell in the Cell.
Exactly. And Foley goes back to being Cactus, or back to being Mankind after doing the Cactus and the after being Dude Love and Cactus for a while, and he was kind of skittish about being.
Yeah, in the video he says he doesn't like the fact that they were going back and forth between the characters. I remember watching it thinking how awesome it is that he could play these 3 different characters and interchange them, and I had the feeling of everybody I talked to at the time really enjoyed it as well.
I did.
I don't think Foley enjoyed it as much himself, and he says so in this DVD, but he says that he didn't feel he deserved to be in the match with Taker at this point.
But boy, was he wrong.
And they give one of the all-time classic WWE moments. Not even Taker or Foley. This is Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan. This is Snook off the cage. Foley getting thrown off a Hell in the Cell is going to get played on WWE promos until we're dead, till our children are dead, and till our children's children are dead. I mean, that's one of the classic moments in the history of WWE. And kudos to the guy. He put his body through some hellacious stuff that no one ever should have.
And I do like the fact that he talks about after the match, Vince McMahon got up to him and
told him he's going to give him a governor.
And he's like, Vince had to explain to me what a governor was. He didn't tell me it was a thing that you had to put in a car to make sure the car didn't go too fast or anything like that. But, he goes, I know a lot of people give Vince McMahon a lot of crap for being heartless and stuff like that, but he says, Vince told me straight to my face, I don't ever want to see you do anything like that again.
Yeah.
So, that's cool, because, a lot of guys always take their pot shots at Vince. Vince is he's the owner, so you're going to...
He's the guy.
He's going to do a lot of things that you don't think are popular.
Exactly. You know what's really popular, speaking of Vince? They go into a little bit of Mick's comedic talents coming out at this point, and then more, he stayed a heel, but he added more comedy to his character, and one of the things he did was when he visited Vince McMahon in the hospital. And they go into that and they talk about how he brought the clown out and he brought these gifts, and he said, even though I hate to admit it, Al Snow told me to bring the sock, and he thought it was going to be a throwaway, but he gives credit to Vince, says that, Vince looking at the screen and going, Mr. Sacco, is what made it. I think it would have went over either way.
I don't know. I think Vince's help really, the look on Vince's face and just saying it is just like really sticks in your head.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was good stuff. I mean, Mr. Sacco allowed Mick Foley to be less of a daredevil, less of a stunt man, and more of an actual wrestler, and let him bring in some comedy to it, which leads into everything else he does afterwards.
So then it gets into his first title run, his win over The Rock on Raw.
And they only cover the first one. They don't really talk about the other 2. However, they did say they had a back and forth feud going, which
Now, here's what I'll ask you: is they didn't mention the WCW that'll put a lot of butts in the seats.
No.
Now, do you think that hurt?
I think that's Mick Foley that told him not to do it.
I don't know. Honestly,
that's been brought up to death on WWE DVDs.
Exactly, but the thing is with me, I think it just shows how much love people have for Mick Foley.
Yeah.
That you know what, I'm not watching that, but I'm gonna turn and watch Mick Foley finally win his championship. To me, but I don't think they needed it. I think it was kind of a cheap pop. I don't think the DVD needed it.
I've said it before, and I said it to you. I think Mick Foley is the one wrestler that every wrestling fan respects and loves. I don't think there's a wrestling fan that doesn't like Mick Foley at some point. I mean, you got people that are pro John Cena, against John Cena. You got people that like CM Punk, hate CM Punk. You got people that like Undertaker, people that think he's a goofball. But no one dislikes Mick Foley. Because how can you not like a guy that gives everything he's had into the business? And
well, you look at him now, he just barely can walk.
Yeah.
That's what you got to respect about him.
And coming off of the Rock feud, they go right into the Rock and Sock era. And he says, we might not have had the great tag matches that everybody remembers, but everybody remembers the segments.
They were on the money. I mean, honestly, I think that he helped make the Rock the name that the Rock is.
Oh, he did. He definitely did.
Either working with him or against him.
And that in the This Is Your Life is still the highest rated segment on Monday Night Raw history.
Of all time, man.
And I think it's going to take a lot to top that. But, and they go right from that, and they talk about Mick starting to do some other things about the book deal, and how he became a writer, and pitching the ideas to everybody. Triple H saying, I heard the stories in the book before they got into the book.
You actually read some of them on the little notepads that Foley was putting on. I mean, Foley wrote a 700-page autobiography on his own while he was still an active wrestler.
Exactly.
That's saying something about the man. Gets from the writer, it goes from when he retires to the commissioner, which I always enjoyed. I thought it was longer than 6 months because it was so good.
We're skipping over one of my favorite matches.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say.
Good.
The not the actual retirement match, but the Royal Rumble match, the Falls Count Anywhere. That is another one of my top 3 matches. That is a good match.
I did like the Rock's interaction too.
Mm-hmm. And then one that comes after his retirement is my third favorite, obviously. Well, his first retirement, because he's retired about as many times as Terry Funk has at this point. But it goes right into, as you were saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
The commissioner role and how he feels he was the best commissioner that's ever done it. I say it's hard to argue. The only person that's close is William Regal.
They were both. I mean, those two there. If they should never make another commissioner role because those two should retire.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, he said he was only the commissioner for 6 months, but it just seemed so much longer because all of the good shit that he made.
All he did.
He made my boys Edge and Christian. The segments that they did together with him were all hilarious. Kurt Angle was hilarious. Even Triple H was hilarious. When Triple H is the badass ass kicker, they're doing funny segments in the back. And it's not killing Triple H's career.
No, because it's Mick Foley and everybody loves him.
Exactly.
Then it goes right into that, the comebacks, which he says he regretted a lot of the comeback matches. And I thought some of them were good. The one that I thought was particularly good, and the third of my 3 favorite Foley matches, is the one with Randy Orton, where he made Randy Orton the rep legend killer.
He did. He made Randy Orton legit.
Yeah.
And if you remember, right after that, he dropped.
Turned him into a Jim Jeffries show?
Yeah. Well, after that, he dropped the IC belt just long enough to go ahead and be the youngest world champion in WWE history. So that's saying something right there.
He talks about that, coming back for the Edge match.
And I personally enjoyed that match.
That was a good match, too. To me, the Orton one was better.
The Orton one was better, but
he talks about not liking the Evolution match so much, him and Rock versus Evolution. And then it talks, he says, he doesn't say where he came back, but he says after that there were some comebacks, which obviously we all know was TNA, that he's not really a fan of. One thing I think we forgot to write down on here in reviewing this is he said after he retired, he's gone out and seen other wrestlers, and 2 of the people he highly recommended to WWE were CM Punk and Samoa Joe. I found it refreshing that they brought up Samoa Joe on there, and I thought it was cool that they tied in Punk and showed pictures of him and Foley, and Punk even said, you know, I think he did help me get my job here.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this DVD. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say this one was? 10 being the best?
We'll do 5.
Okay, well, I was going to go to 10 just because it was so good. But
We'll do I'm going 5, but...
I'm going 5 also. I'm going to give it 10, but we'll go 5.
I mean, we do 5. We're not going to...
Yeah. I just think it was just that damn good.
Oh, it was damn good.
It was just that damn good.
It's probably one of the better ones. If you remember back, we thoroughly enjoyed the CM Punk one, and I say this is right up there with it.
Oh, yeah.
This is a must-buy for anybody that considers himself a Mick Foley fan or anybody that considers himself a wrestling fan.
Well, like I said, it did miss on some things, but the things that it did miss on, everybody knew what it was. I thought it was a great DVD or Blu-ray. I rank it up there with the Road Warriors, which for me, the Road Warriors put together one of the best. They did put together one of the best DVDs for the Road Warriors. I wasn't a giant fan of the Road Warriors.
Got the best part.
And I wasn't one of the giant fans of the Road Warriors, but I think that their DVD was good.
Well, if you do get the special edition, you also get Mr. Sacco.
Cool. But anyways, what you don't understand is what are you doing?
Just showing the fans, Mr. Sacco.
Yeah, put that shit off, bro.
Just showing the fans.
Okay, yeah. That's cool.
Anyway.
Anyways. Really?
We'll leave it to the fans.
Well, I think we should cut the show short since someone's got some flocks in their hands.
Well, this is a gift that you get if you buy the special edition.
That's very nice.
We gotta tell them what's going on, Gary.
Now, do you
That's
get that?
part of the review.
That only comes when you order from WWE.com, right?
No, I got mine from Amazon.
Okay.
So, if you get the special edition version, you get Mr. Sacco.
Cool.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Nah, I gave it a 5. You gave it a 5.
Well, I'm Gary Rhodes, and you're...
My name is George Coles.
Bang, bang! This has been the Heel Heat DVD Blu-ray review.